everyone, Transformers fan called 328 here, and it's not about what you do differently, it's about what you do well. After burial at sea, I need to lighten up a little, so... robots in disguise. Well... aside from being one of the two most iconic phrases in the franchise, it's also the subtitle of the English version of the Car Robots anime, the name of an Autobot profiling book for animated, a comic series running alongside another comic with the subtitle of another lyric of the original theme song, the toy line for the Transformers Prime cartoon, which was actually given a mass release, the subtitle of the simplistic toys from Age of Extinction that are still shelf-warming as of this recording, and a currently ongoing cartoon series with a toy line of the same name, which serves as a sequel to the aforementioned Transformers Prime. Confused?
Excellent. If you're not confused, you're not paying attention.
Thanks, John. Hashtag Save Constantine. Plugs for kick-ass TV shows aside, let's cover some Robots in Disguise 2015. Specifically, the Wave 1 Warriors. Minus Bumblebee, because A, these were all I could get, and B, Bumblebee wasn't there, so even if I wanted him, I couldn't get him. Whatever, enough delaying. Let's get on with it. Grimlock. First and foremost, look at this Godzuki mode! Easily the cleanest I've ever seen. No obvious feet, next to no hollowness, and no hindrances to the articulation. The design is a good representation of Grimlock from the show, which is a good design for the character. Not like Age of Extinctions, where I look at him and unmistakably see him as the raw powerhouse of the old character, but still powerful enough and likable. I only have one issue with this mode, and it's the gimmick. Not the chomping action, but the spike up here that opens the jaw. Fully extending the jaw gives him a distracting antenna, almost like he's someone else's puppet. It's a nitpick though, and it's easily the best of Grimlock's jaw gimmicks. Booyah! Transformations are super simple, with the packaging even priding itself on how few steps it takes to convert them from mode to mode, down to featuring the instructions on the packaging itself. That is, if it isn't simple enough to figure out yourself. This Grimlock even pulls AoE Snarl's trick. Robot mode is a success as well, faithfully capturing the design of the show. The articulation is solid, as is the detail. There are three major issues though. One is scale. Grimlock is always the big guy, the one who will always loom over everyone, even in this new show. This toy doesn't. And short of the 3-step changer or buying all the legions, there's no better scale option. Two is that he lacks any accessories whatsoever. I know Grimlock in the show is more fist-to-fist anyways, but Predaking was more fist-based than Prime, and they still gave him accessories for the sake of a play feature. What is this, a modern Marvel Legends? And 3 elbows. I take great care with my figures, so I'm able to avoid this problem as much as possible, but there are probably some people who don't look into these figures, pick these up for their children, and the next thing you know, those kids have a face full of Grimlock arm. Leg. If it weren't for that fatal a flaw being a common problem due to bad design, I would recommend this figure regardless of scale, as he's actually a pretty fun figure to play around with. Why couldn't they have this kind of design with the false Cybertron figure? Aside from exploding elbows, of course. Now on to the fembot of the show, Strong Arm. Her police SUV mode looks big and bulky, enough to appear larger than the standard, and it kind of is. But Hasbro has this strange yet infrequent tendency to forget that back windows aren't just a part of the car. It rolls well, and her gun stores into the great big hole in her chest. And for some reason it has a permanent blast effect. I guess it's just dumb. A transformation in raw mode isn't that bad, but it's kind of a pain to get everything lined up for transformation into vehicle mode. It's doable, but a bit annoying. Robot mode reveals quite a different figure for a female Transformer. Broader, with much less pronounced feminine traits, and just a much different form for a fembot. And a welcome one at that. While she doesn't look the most show accurate, not like the others are that much more show accurate, that seems to be more the fault of making the design work with the alt mode she was given. She also makes for a strong toy as well, with solid paintwork, good molding, workable articulation, and no major worry-inducing QC issues. A truly solid release in the line, and more fembots is always appreciated. I just wish the blast effect could have been separate, but I'll live with that. Last on our chopping block is our lone Decepticon, and he's the leader? Yeah, this is the first time a Western Transformers series has had an antagonist that isn't Unicron, Galvatron, or Megatron of any variety. Though that could change at any moment with this show, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. His off-road vehicle mode gives off a vague but noticeable image of a wolf's head. Pointy ears, molded and painted eyes next to the doors, the rest of the car serving as the muzzle, and even teeth on the grille, where a slightly visible scratched Decepticon symbol lies. Speaking of scratching, his lone pair of Wolverine claws can store up top on his vehicle roof. At least it's not as dumb looking as just slapping a gun on there. And once again, molded but unpainted back window. Just like Strongarm, his transformation is basic going to robot mode, but kind of annoying to get everything lined up for the conversion to vehicle mode. It should be noted that he comes packaged in robot mode with the arms pushed up, which led many to believe he had no elbow joints. Just push him down. Even the instructions bring this up. Robot mode brings to light some glaring issues. First, he lacks a lot of paint, especially the tiny details that made Steeljaw pop in the show. The packaging art just makes the sea of blue his body is made of even worse. He could also use some extra joints to make him even more expressive, like wrist swivels or a ball-jointed head. This is more annoying considering that he's one of the more interesting characters in the show, so some more expression would have been nice. He should have come with another claw on loan from the Avengers as well, but And plastic ratchets! I hated the use of these in the Fall Cybertron line since they wear down so quickly, and thus the articulation is rendered completely fucking useless. I leave Sideswipe untouched because of this. Despite all these issues, I surprisingly had no issue with getting him to stand. This is one of the common criticisms of the figure, but I found that he has enough leg articulation to help you find the center of gravity and get a good balance on this guy without using his tail as a tripod. So, while he lacks some useful swivels and ball joints, Booker DeWolf can actually get some good poses with what he has. Chances are we're not going to get a better figure of this character, or a better figure of any of these characters for that matter, so you kind of have to make do with what you're given. For what he is, Steeljaw is good enough for me. So these toys have their issues, and they are not the Combiner Wars standard by any stretch of the imagination. But I still like these toys. I like their characters on the show, and hey, I like the show, so that helps paint my opinion on these figures. The show itself is good, lighthearted fun, with a more unique story arc than the usual Autobots vs. Decepticons stories that we've been given for the past few decades. I like the designs and the characters they end up with, and since this is a show that's going to be around for a while, I'm glad that I can at least look forward to it, and hope to see what characters end up with figures I'll want. Are these figures worth $15 a pop? Maybe not. Especially considering they're running right alongside the Combiner Wars guys, where even a single figure has more value to you because you get an arm, a leg, a robot, and a vehicle. It's also possible to spend a little more and get a much more substantial package. What will the future hold? I can't say. What I can say is Predator confirmed for MKX! Hell yeah!